Comes a time in these experiences for the empath or chosen one where if they're not careful, they will collapse psychologically. And what do I mean by that? Let me get into it. Now, there comes a moment when the healer can no longer heal, when the one who's always feels everything suddenly feels nothing. That's not weakness, that's the collapse. It's what happens when the heart has carried too many people, too many lies disguised as love for too long. Collapse doesn't arrive loudly, it creeps in through little compromises, saying yes when your body says no, listening when you have nothing left to give, forgiving before you've even processed the hurt. Every act of self erasure teaches your nervous system that survival means silence. Eventually, the system overloads. The empath who once glowed begins to dim. Clinically, it's called compassion fatigue, the emotional residue of constantly caring without replenishment. Spiritually, it feels like divine distance. You start praying but can't connect. You show up but can't feel. You're still kind, but it's mechanical. The same sensitivity that made you a light now burns you from the inside. The empath's mind splits. Part A still believes in goodness, redemption, and person and purpose, and part B whispers, I'm being used. The two parts argue until exhaustion becomes the peace treaty. To avoid confrontation, the empath turns inward, blaming themselves for other people's cruelty. It's self gaslighting. Maybe I'm overreacting, you'll say. But you're not. You're just tired of being disappointed. When the brain stays in empathy overdrive, cortisol never shuts off. Sleep becomes shallow, digestion is weak, and the heart rate becomes irregular. You're not dramatic, you're dysregulated. The body keeps a record of every time you ignored intuition. Collapse is the body's rebellion, its way of saying, we can't keep absorbing pain we're not allowed to release. Suddenly, crowds feel heavy, texts go unanswered, even music feels invasive. People call it isolation, but it's detox. The empath isn't rejecting others, they're relearning where they end and the world begins. The silence is sacred. It's where the nervous system learns safety without sacrifice. Empaths define themselves by usefulness. So when they stop helping, they feel worthless. They confuse stillness with failure. But collapse strips away performance until only beings remain. Who are you when you're not fixing anyone? That question terrifies the empath, yet it's the doorway to freedom. During collapse, even God feels quiet, not because he left, but because the noise finally did. You mistake silence for absence, but it's actually calibration. The soul can't download clarity while overloaded with everyone else's energy. What feels like abandonment is recalibration, a chance to meet with divine without intermediaries or roles. Then comes the moment of surrender, tears without language, a heaviness that sleep won't fix. This is where many empaths fear they've lost themselves. In truth, the false self, the savior, the fixer, the rescuer is what's dying. Collapse becomes resurrection in disguise. Healing starts with naming the exhaustion. I'm overwhelmed, not grateful. I'm tired, not faithless. Once shame lifts, energy begins returning. Solitude stop feeling selfish because they feel necessary. The empath learns that boundaries aren't barriers, they're breathing rooms. Now, the empath will recover in layers. physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Each small habit reteaches safety. The empath starts to trust internal signals again. What used to feel like hypervigilance now becomes discernment. The healed empath doesn't stop caring, they start choosing. They no longer absorb everything, they observe first. They help without hemorrhaging, they listen without losing. Sensitivity becomes strategy, and love becomes mutual, not martyrdom. If you're here right now and you're numb, weary, wondering where your spark went, understand this. Collapse is not the end of empathy, it's the reset that protects it. You're not breaking down, you're breaking open. And what's emerging is balance, compassion that finally includes you. Thank you for visiting my channel. Stay covered, stay conscious, stay undefeated, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.